Hello?
Good?
Hello?
Hello?
No.
No.
This one's working.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Ah, perfect. Before we begin, I want to just thank the string quartet. Thank you to Kathleen Cato on violin 1, Ian Fishman, violin 2, Mrs. Underhill on viola, Eric Matern on cello, and Elias Vanderos on bass. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Welcome to our May 6th monthly meeting. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If there are no changes, I would like a motion to accept the minutes of the April 28th meeting. Ms. Kelly, second. Ms. Aragona, all in favor? 2 abstentions. Okay, thank you. Mr. Kunz, the Art Gallery.
The Burns-Seiderman Gallery is proud to present the final exhibition of the school year, celebrating the exceptional work of the Lynbrook School District's 2026 ASA All-County Student Artists. This distinguished showcase highlights a selection of artwork from students in grades K through 12, representing each art teacher and school across the district. The Art Supervisors Association All-County designation is a significant honor awarded to students whose work demonstrates outstanding creativity, technical skill, and dedication to the visual arts. These students exemplify the highest level of artistic achievement within their respective grade levels. Their inclusion in this exhibition reflects not only their individual talent, but also a strong commitment to artistic growth and expression. On display is a diverse collection of artwork spanning a wide range of media, including drawing, painting, photography, and mixed media. From observational drawings and paintings to works exploring personal and social themes, the exhibition captures the depth and breadth of artistic exploration taking place throughout the district. This culminating exhibition serves as both a celebration of student accomplishment and a reflection of the art programs within Lynbrook schools. The Burns-Seiderman Gallery invites the community to experience the creativity, passion, and hard work of these young artists whose achievements set a standard of excellence. Congratulations to this year's ASA All-County Artists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kunz. At this time, we'll close the regular meeting to begin our budget hearing. Mr. Press.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here tonight to present for our final time the proposed, well, actually at this point it's the adopted 2026-27 budget. The Board of Education adopted the budget at their March 11th meeting. So we're going to go through the presentation tonight. It is very much similar to the budget work session presentation with a few additional slides in here so that shows how we present the budget as part of the 3-part budget that the state requires us to do. I think what you'll see as we go through the budget is this is a fiscally responsible budget, one that preserves programs that we have built, continues to support the profile of the OWL, and adds programs requested by the community to allow the continued growth of our students from K to 12. And to that end, here's a listing of the priorities that guided us as we put together the budget. I think if you know the theme here really ties things back to the profile of the OWL. We are trying to present opportunities for our students to succeed while they're here and when they leave us and go off into the world. So I'm going to, because we've gone through this and things are largely the same from the last presentation, I'm not going to go into as much detail, but if you do have questions, please feel free to stop me along the way. In putting together this budget and trying to meet the programmatic priorities, we did have ourselves some challenges as we've talked about along the way in our budget presentations and meetings. We are seeing, in terms of some of our largest areas of expense, increases well above the rate of inflation or CPI. Medical insurance rates, as I'm sure everyone here in their personal lives is seeing, have been increasing at large rates well above the rate of inflation for years. We had a rate increase of about 9% for our active employees here in 2026. We're budgeting for a 10% increase going into next year. We have seen double-digit increases in the past, so we feel that's a reasonable number. In terms of some of our Medicare coverage, those rates have gone up anywhere from 8 to 22%, and we have a smaller program that we offer to a smaller group of our employees, and those premiums have increased 50%, 50, over the last 2 years. Transportation is going up due to increases in rates, but also the addition of 8 new schools that we have budgeted for, 8 new non-public schools in there. And what we're seeing is we're getting kind of one-offs, maybe 2 students going to these schools. And so instead of having kind of some economies of scale when you have multiple kids and we pay for a bus, when we're sending 1 kid to this school, 2 kids to the other school, we're paying for vehicles at very high rates. BOCES transportation is increasing due to an increase in number of students and an increase in the transportation rates themselves. BOCES tuition and related services for out-of-district placements are going up. The rates themselves are going up 4.5% to 5%, and then we're seeing an increase. We've budgeted a net increase of 8 students to BOCES out-of-district placements. And our general insurance through NYSER, which is our largest and our general insurance provider for the district, not medical, but this is insurance that covers the district. We're budgeting an 11% increase for next year, which is in line with what we've been seeing over the last few years. And utility rates, I think, as you're all seeing, not just here, are going up as well. So a lot of challenges here to some of our biggest areas of expense. In terms of staffing, we've got 4 new positions in the budget. Only 2 of them are new positions that we're adding next year. The first 2 positions that we show here were positions that were added due to need after we adopted the budget last year. So we had added a new business teacher at the high school due to increased demand, and we didn't have the staffing to provide the courses that the students had requested. And then at the kindergarten center, our enrollment increased after the budget, necessitating the addition of another section. For the 26-27 school year, we're adding a teacher at West End. This is tied to one of our programmatic priorities, which was to maintain equity in the class sizes at the elementary schools, particularly at the K-2 level, to keep those classes smaller for our youngest learners. We're also adding to the salary side of the budget an occupational therapist. This would be the 4th one that we've added over 4 years, and in doing that, we've reduced our need for contracted occupational therapists. So there's the trade-off there, and we think it's better for our students to have a district employee providing those services, and it certainly helps with continuity of programming. So into the budgets for the departments and the buildings. Superintendent's budget is flat, no change there. Board of Ed, a slight decrease. We recognize the savings in advertising costs that was offset by an increase in the software we need to comply with new voting requirements. In our curriculum instruction and assessment area, increase of about $171,000 there, largely in BOCES regional certification. That encompasses a large amount of the services that we contract with BOCES to provide for us. That includes arts and education. It includes some of our instrument lease purchases and things of that nature. We tightened that budget up for 25-26, needed to kind of bring that back in line with what we're actually seeing. We're seeing an increase of $55,000 in tuition and tutoring due to new increase in tutoring needs and an additional tuition expense, offset by a slight decrease in charter schools of about $15,000. I do want to note the bullet points, as you'll see in these slides, they don't add up to the variance. What I'm doing with the bullet points is just trying to point out some of the larger changes in the budget. There's other changes in there that just would add up to the variance that you'll see on these slides. In our personnel, transportation, and student support services, we're looking at an increase here of about 21%, about $682,000. Large increase in our non-public transportation as I previously mentioned, 8 new schools that we're budgeting for, and then contract renewal at CPI. Also an increase in BOCES transportation that is due to a net increase in students plus a 5% increase in their rates, and then increase of about 8% in in-district transportation due to additional runs, special programs, and renewing the contracts at CPI or the rate of inflation. Finance operations and information systems, this is the business office. Increases in BOCES, occupational education expenses, that's our Barry Tech and our CTE skills program. Our central data processing fees are going up as well. Health expenses for out-of-district students are increasing a little bit, and some of the admin fees at BOCES as well. There's a slight decrease in our overall insurance while the nicer insurance is going up. We're recognizing some savings in our excess workers' compensation coverage. So overall, this budget's going up about 4.5%. Debt and interfund transfers, not a lot here. Debt service, this is the 7th year of a 20-year debt service. There's slight variations year to year in that, but not really anything notable. Interfund transfers, we're increasing our contribution to the food service program by $10,000, despite the meals being free to students and families. It came with increased cost on our end of additional staffing, and then our equipment, which is a lot of our equipment, which is in need of replacement. Facilities and security, not a large change here. It's just under 2%. The change here largely due to net increases in utility costs and some increases in equipment codes, among which is we have a van that we're using currently for the food service program that needs to be replaced. It's well past its useful life. In terms of capital projects in the budget, we're budgeting $900,000 for replacement of the running track at South. That track is 12 years old, past its useful life, and despite their best efforts, Mr. Sada and his team have been patching it for years. It's beyond really the point where we can continue to patch it and have it still be safe. So it's become a tripping hazard. So we've included that in the budget here. Moving on to the schools themselves, our elementary schools, overall budget increase of about 6%. This is, again, this is largely tied back to the increase in club offerings at the elementary schools. We increased the budgets there. That was in response to feedback we received from the community that there were not enough club options offered to students at the elementary level. Also, there's increases in transportation due to additional field trips and the increases of those buses due to CPI or the rate of inflation. At our secondary schools, it's a combined. The increase there is due to transportation as well as contractual increases in activity salaries and supervisory assignments. Special ed, overall the budget's up about 5%, or around $376,000. We're seeing, a sizable increase in our BOCES tuition-related services. Again, I mentioned that earlier. That's due to the net increase of about 8 new students in out-of-district BOCES placements, increase in transportation of $455,000 due to new schools and routes, plus increases in those contracts due to at the rate of inflation. A lot of that is offset by decreases in our out-of-district public and private tuition. That's due to a number of factors, including students coming back in district, students graduating, exiting the program, or students moving away out of district. Communications and technology, overall increase of just under 12%. The $125,000 increase there on the top line we're talking about. We have a lot of cameras throughout the district, and a lot of those got added around the same time. Those cameras, and this might become a recurring theme, we have things that are reaching the end of their useful life, so cameras that are not clear anymore and are not really helpful when we're looking at them. So we've started a regular replacement cycle, so we're not, every 10 or 15 years spending an inordinate amount of money replacing cameras. So we're going to start this regular replacement cycle there. We've got about $51,000 in telephone expenses to replace equipment there as well that's kind of end of life. And then on the instructional software side, about a $40,000 increase due to year-over-year increases in software license and the implementation of AI resources for students and teachers. In that budget, we're also including additional swipes on external doors around the athletic areas to allow us to have better security and control over who's accessing the buildings. Okay. Skipped over a page. Athletics and health increase here is about 11%. This area was hit hard in our current 25-26 budget. A lot of reductions that were made there by our athletic director, Mr. Martellotti, to help us get the budget in line for the current school year. So a lot of this increase is putting back in the approximately $100,000 that he cut out of the 25-26 budget, so that we can actually start to purchase things that are needed to run the program. So there's an increase in interscholastic supplies, there's contractual increases in salary, increases in transportation, again, that is due to the renewal of contracts at the rate of inflation. There's athletic equipment, and then contractual increases in our athletic supervision rates. Fine and performing arts, again, we've got some old equipment that's constituting a safety hazard. So we're looking to replace some stage equipment and choral risers at West End. And then there's an increase, this is a good thing in a sense, an increase in equipment repair and musical instrument rental because the program itself is growing throughout the district, and it's the level of participation has increased. And then an increase in transportation, again, due to contractual CPI rates, but also additional participation when the band goes, when our athletics teams are successful and go to playoffs, like the football team, the bands go to perform in support of them, and there's a cost associated with that as well. Guidance and counseling, there's a net decrease here. It's largely due to us realigning some of the expenses that belonged more appropriately in special ed. That was our career training program, but otherwise no significant changes here. Special programs, this is our summer playground, summer school, and adult education is a decrease here. We had started a new program for summer 2025, so we increased our budget in anticipation of a larger participation than showed up. So we're realigning those costs, so that's why you're seeing a decrease here. I do want to point out that the summer program rates, we are increasing those for summer 2026 to $350 for the district residents and $380 for those who are not in the district. That's an increase of about $50 over the current year rates. In terms of salaries and benefits, we're looking at increases in both areas of about 3.5%. This is on the salary side, largely due to contractual increases, but also adding into the budget those 4 positions that I mentioned previously. And on the benefits side, again, the 10% budgeted increase in health insurance there is about $850,000, and then corresponding increases in Social Security tied to increases in salaries, increases in Medicare reimbursement due to increases in the Medicare rates themselves. Increase in the ERS is pension costs are tied to increases in salaries, and then we're actually seeing a sizable decrease in TRS pension costs because the rate, the mandated rate for our contribution has gone down quite significantly. So, summing everything up here, this is our total budget summary for 26-27, a budget of $115,248,293. It's an increase of about $5 million, or 4.63%. So the state does require us to present, all school districts to present this 3-part budget summary. Everything prior to this is we present the way Lynbrook has done it historically. Every district presents their budgets in their own way, but in order to be able to compare apples to apples, the state requires all districts to present this 3-part budget summary. And those 3 parts are administrative program and capital. Program is the largest expense grouping out of this three. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. The percentage distribution has stayed fairly consistent over the last years, with 76% of the overall expense going to program, which is where you'd want to see it. That's the educational program. 9% to the administrative portion of it, and 15% to capital. And we'll go through those areas in a little bit more detail here. So our administrative budget, Board of Ed, central admin, special items, and things like that. The increase in percentage increase there year over year is about 3.37%, or about $331,000. In terms of program, again, this is our educational program for the most part. We're looking at an increase of about $3.9 million, or 4.69%. That's the largest driver of the overall increase in the budget. And our capital budget, which is facilities and operations and debt service and expenses related to that, including our transfers, going up 5%, or $840,000. So that's our three-part budget. In terms of how we plan to pay for this, we have a few slides on that. So the first slide here, our local revenue projection. So some of the various costs that the revenue that we take in for things like adult ed fees and summer playground, health costs for other districts and things like that. Really, that's remaining unchanged. The pilot number, this is something that we're going to touch on when we talk about the tax cap calculation. That number is up about $500,000, and that we'll explain why that's really important later. Our interest income staying the same, and our use of reserves also staying the same. So overall, our net local revenue projection is about $9.3 million. In terms of use of reserves, our ERS reserve, we're increasing that $100,000. I'm sorry, we're not. We increased that $100,000 last year, so that's staying at $1.7 million, and $760 from our TRS reserve, $350 from workers' comp reserve, and $180,000 out of our employee benefits reserve. So the use of reserves has remained unchanged in the current year budget, and that's I want to point that out because that's important, because as you see here, over the last several years, we've increased our use of reserves to help fund the budget, with a big increase in 24-25. You see those red bars are the level of increase. The increase last year was much smaller, and we've held that level flat. So where we're at, and I've been saying this consistently, we've raised the use of reserves to a point where I'm comfortable, but I'm a little uncomfortable. But this is sustainable. We really can't go higher than this, I think, without creating additional risk. So we made a conscious effort to keep our use of reserves the same going into next year. Another way that we are funding the budget is through state aid revenue projections. So we are one of the, I guess, fortunate ones. Most districts are currently seeing a 1% increase in their foundation aid based on the executive budget. The state has not seen fit to adopt a budget yet, even though the budget was due April 1st, and school districts have to include state aid revenue in their budget projections. So we go with the best information we have, which is what the governor proposed. So we've gotten a healthy increase in foundation aid going into next year. Our transportation aid actually has gone up because our expenses have gone up. Transportation aid is an expense-based aid. So our expenses have been going up over the last few years, and as a result, we get more aid. But additionally, our aid ratios, which are used to calculate the aid, have also increased. So that's contributed there to an increase in transportation aid of over $1 million. BOCES aid has gone up as well. And then our building aid, which is another factor that's important in the tax cap calculation, that's gone up about $600,000 because we've closed out some projects that, actually the project here, the bond project at the high school. So overall, we're looking at about $24 million of state aid. That's an increase of about $2 million over the previous years. We carve out the universal pre-K state aid here because it doesn't go into, it doesn't go to help fund the big budget that the community votes on. This money goes into our F fund, and that goes, and really that's flow-through money that goes out to our community organizations that are operating the district's UPK program. That number there, 1.19 million, is based on, again, the governor's aid runs, which included an increase in the rate of funding per student. Currently, the state pays $5,400 per student. They're looking to increase that to $10,000 per student, which, if that does end up in the budget, I think will make the program a lot more attractive and affordable to community-based organizations. $5,400 is really, and it had been $5,400 for a number of years, is not sufficient really to cover the expenses of a pre-K program. So in terms of our tax cap, we'll walk through the calculation here. And I'll point out some of the key kind of factors here. We start with the last year's budget, in this case 25-26. There are two factors that get worked in here. One is this tax-based growth factor, which is the growth in the taxable property in the district, fairly insignificant for us this year. We add in the current pilots. So you see current pilots for 25-26 about $4 million. We take out some of these exemptions. It gets us to an adjusted prior year levy. Then we factor in that 2% that Newsday likes to splash on their cover. That's where the 2% comes in. Sorry, I did have some animations here. Sorry. All right, there it is. It's not the tax cap is not 2%. 2% is one of the factors. And then if you see down at the bottom, the 26-27 estimated pilot receivables, it's about 4.5 million. And that's a minus. So we're just deducting pilots from the formula, and that gets us with the bottom line there, 78.5 million, which is actually, before we build in the exclusions, is actually lower than the 25-26 tax levy. And that's a direct result of that pilot cost. The pilots are subtracting 500,000. That's pushing us actually to a negative. That's what we've been talking about, this formula. The formula is a little wacky. We used a different word in our last meeting. I'll use wacky this time. So we take that 78.5 million, we roll that forward, and then we add in all of these exclusions. So debt service, capital projects in the budget, that's the 900,000 for the South Track. There's a BOCES exclusion. Those all are added in, that increases what we're allowed to levy. And then the building aid here, again, another deduction similar to the pilots, and that increases about $600,000 over the prior year. So that has the effect of pushing down our tax cap, the allowable tax levy limit, which is currently $79.6 million. That's an increase of $752,000 or 0.95%. So that is our allowable levy limit. So when we look at the proposed budget, $115 million, when we add together the state aid revenue, the local revenue that we talked about, we projected that we're going to apply fund balance of 1.525 million, same as last year. That adds up to 34.8 million. When you add in our allowable tax levy, that gets us to 114, 448, 293. So we're short $800,000 in that situation. So what we have proposed in terms of the budget that the board has adopted is a proposed tax levy of $80,447,925, which is $800,000 above the allowable levy limit. It's a 1.97% tax levy increase, so less than 2%. Just want to just point out what's on the slide here. This proposed tax levy now requires a 60% supermajority passage rate for the vote in May. So when we go back again and look at our budget, proposed budget, 115 million, with our total revenue at 114,448. When we, that was the difference. Now we propose the levy amount that is $800,000 over that allowable levy. Gets us to a balanced budget. Importantly, what we want to point out here, this is a 10-year history of the district, the levies that we have proposed. 1.97% is below the 10-year average for Lynbrook. And the other point we wanted to point out here is in 23-24, again, this ties back to the vagaries of the tax cap formula in 23-24, because pilots' payments had fallen off, so they had decreased. That has an effect of pushing up the allowable tax cap. At that point, it was over 4%, and the board at that time made the decision that there was enough revenue coming in from increases in foundation aid that there was not a need to tax to that level. So the levy that was proposed was $1.5 million lower than it was allowed to be in that year. So 1.5 million, there was a decision not to raise that that in the tax levy then. We're making the decision now that we need a little bit of that back. So we're asking for a 1.97% levy increase for 26-27. In terms of Long Island and the district, the county as a whole, these are our neighboring districts. Their proposed tax levies. This is based on property tax report cards filed with the New York State Comptroller's Office. So we are little box, there it is, okay. You can see where we stand with our neighboring districts. We're the 14th lowest proposed tax levy increase in Nassau County of the 56 school districts, and we're in the bottom 25% of all 124 school districts on Long Island, where the average is 2.59%. These numbers, for those who are paying close attention, are a little different than what we presented in March, because districts, even though they file their tax levies by the March 1st deadline with the state, you're allowed to go back in and change things. So some of the districts have changed what they're proposing for their levy. So that's our budget. Proposition 1 is the budget. Proposition 2 is the use of our technology reserve. This is something we do every year. This year we're proposing the use of $560,000 that is used to purchase equipment that is needed, such as interactive boards at the high school, classroom desktops throughout the district, middle school laptops for students, as well as a continuation of our wiring projects. This time we're looking to replace the network wiring at North Middle School. This is taking money from our reserve. This comes at no additional cost to the taxpayers. This has no effect on the tax levy. Proposition 3 is the use of our facilities reserve. Again, we do this every year. The proposal this year is to use money from our facilities reserve funds to purchase some property right next to the high school here to construct a fitness center. We did a presentation, and Dr. Lynch did a presentation that is on the district website if you want more information about that. And we talked about how that would affect the educational and the physical education program. In that proposition as well is the replacement of 3 rooftop units here at the high school. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we've got these units on the roof here that we've been repairing for the last several years. They have reached the end of their useful life. It's a common theme throughout a lot of this. So we're looking to replace those. At North Middle School, we're looking to spend some funds to split the tech room to create additional instructional space there. Also at North, there's some heating system pieces that need to be repaired and replaced. And then at West End, this is the beginning of what we're looking to do throughout the district, is replacing old and, in the case of West End, inoperable PA systems. This has it's a safety concern, especially at West End, but we're seeing issues with the aging PA systems throughout the district. All of these projects here, we discussed with our facilities committee, and these are the projects that they prioritize for getting done. I do want to note that for the PA systems, we have applied for grant funding through Congresswoman Laura Gillen for PA systems that could possibly cover the costs throughout the entire district. The reason why we're starting at West End is because, as you can see, these are they're costly projects. To do one of these in all 7 of our buildings would be something we could not put into a single budget, or the use of funding from reserves when we have these other needs. So we are hopeful that we get approved for that grant, and then we can talk about replacing the PA systems throughout the district. So again, just a quick budget summary. The proposed budget, $115 million. The budget-to-budget increase just over $5 million, or 4.63%. Our proposed tax levy, $80,447,925. Again, that is above the allowable levy limit, so we do need a 60% supermajority to pass that. But the levy-to-levy increase, again, only 1.97%, below our 10-year average, and way below the increases seen throughout the rest of Nassau County and Long Island. Last day to register to vote, May 13th. If you have not registered to vote, call up the main office. Mrs. Moran would be happy to talk to you, get you the information you need. And the all-important budget vote is on Tuesday, May 19th. I do one last slide here. Just in the event of a contingency budget, if the budget fails on May 19th, the board has some options. They can propose the same budget, they can propose a modified budget, or they can go straight and adopt a contingency budget with a tax levy increase of 0%. Again, if the budget fails on May 19th, there is the option to put the budget up for a vote a second time in June. If that is what ends up happening and that budget fails in June, then we have to go to a contingency budget. That means a 0% tax levy increase. And there are a number of other restrictions on our spending as well that will kick in. A 0% tax levy increase would mean we'd have to reduce the budget by about $1.5 million. With that, I will open it up to the board if the board has any additional questions.
So before the board speaks, I'd just like to thank Mr. Press and his team for another extraordinary job of putting the budget together. I'd like to thank all our budget managers. And I just want to tell what I view as the story of this budget, kind of the thumbnail if you want to know what's really going on, because you're going to read about us in Newsday. You're going to hear us on News 12. I was in my doctor's office on Monday, and you get to hear the loop of News 12. Those of you that go to doctors know exactly what I'm talking about, the same 5 stories that come up again and again. And we were the stars on one of that cycle, because what they're saying we're doing, not inaccurately, is quote-unquote piercing the tax cap. And I think when you look at the budget that Mr. Press just expressed, I kind of want to talk about what it's really doing. So what are we really adding to this budget? What are we really asking the community for? When you really look at it, we already put a teacher at the KC, and we want to put one more teacher at West End. That story begins last year. So last year we had a great opportunity to save money. And the way we did it was with a retirement incentive, and we took 17 positions out of our budget through attrition. So we didn't have to lay off any staff that some of our neighboring districts do have to do. So we saved 17 positions to the tune of $1.8 million, and that helped us balance this budget. We want to keep Lynbrook. And everyone who has been in this district for a generation or more has had K through 2 class sizes capped at somewhere around 23 or 24. By board policy, we can go higher than that. This community has never wanted its youngest learners to be in such an environment that is larger than that. And in order to do that, we have to add a teacher at the KC and a teacher at West End to keep Lynbrook. And that's our ask. We also are going to asking for something else that's already enacting. We asked you what you wanted to see from your school system, and that's called our Profile of the Owl. Loud and clear, this community said, you're doing a great job when it comes to the academic stuff, but where are the kids learning real life skills? I want my kids to be able to be employed. I want them out of the house. I want them out of the basement. I'd like them on someone's payroll at some point. So could you give them some real life skills? And in answer to that, we added a whole extra business teacher to the budget. And what these kids, I don't know, those of you that were at the Business Honor Society last week or 2 weeks ago, miracle of miracles, 16 and 17-year-olds shaking people's hands, looking people in the eye, learning how to interview, learning how to be how to succeed in the world. That's the ask. That's really what this budget is about. As I said in March, we don't have a budget problem. We did the hard work last year. Last year were the cuts. That was the hard budget. This should have been the easy budget, but it wasn't because of the tax cap formula. So there was one, it's kind of almost a throwaway line from Mr. Press. I just want you to kind of underline what he said. If without exclusions, the state would have us take money away from the levy. We would have to cut the levy. We'd have to survive on less money than we did last year. And then with exclusions, we get that up to the whopping 0.95%, because that's our allowable levy because of the way that the pilot formula works. So we have asked you traditionally for somewhere around 2% for the last 10 years, some years less, some years a little more. We're doing the same thing again this year, 1.97%, the 14th lowest levy in Nassau County, the lowest in our quadrant, but it just happens to require a supermajority this year to keep Lynbrook. That's our ask this year. We had really good news in Newsday today or yesterday, and I just think this is a testament to this community. There is a rather important rate called chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is basically when kids don't want to come to school. Lynbrook is amongst the lowest chronic absentee rates in the entire county of Nassau. Some districts, yeah, that's absolutely well done. So at the high end, some districts have a 49%, 35% at a neighboring district, 32%, 31%. Lynbrook is at 7.5%. That is, who are our peers? Garden City, Syosset, Great Neck, East Williston. Let's keep Lynbrook. That's what we're asking for. We happen to need a supermajority. Let's keep Lynbrook. And with that, I open it to the board.
I just want to start by thanking Mr. Press and everybody who worked throughout the district so hard on this budget. And I think it's really important that we note the transparency through this entire process that everybody has provided, the conversations that have been had throughout this process here regarding the budget, the healthy reserves that we have here, and how you really are fiscally responsible, and you really take note to make sure that those are there. So if there are emergencies, or if a roof starts leaking, we have the means to fix that. And even looking at something like the track, we keep it until its useful life, but safety comes first for our students, and we have to repair those things when that happens. And I think it's really also important to note that the 2% tax cap is not 2%. It sounds like a great headline. When Cuomo put that in, we knew it was going to become a problem for school districts over time. And we're at that time because it's not 2%, and people really need to understand. So we ask that you get your neighbors out and explain to the people who aren't sitting in this audience today, so that they understand really what us piercing the cap means. We're not even at 2%. Thank you. Any other questions?
I'll just join in with what Ms. Danino said, and thanking Mr. Press for the incredible job on this, and also Dr. Berman and Dr. Balekis and Dr. Lynch, because it's a team effort. A few points. We're going to be, like Dr. Lynch said, on News 12. We're going to be in Newsday for piercing the tax cap. What the story they should be running, if they're being honest and being fair and not just trying to generate clicks and views, would be the following facts. We're coming to the community with under a 2% increase ask. We're under 2%. So using the traditional 2% tax cap, we're under that. We're coming to the community with the lowest increase we've come to you guys with since 2022. We're coming to the community below our 10-year average of 2.02%. We're coming to the community with our 5th lowest tax raise in the last 11 years, if you include this year. We're coming to the community with the 3rd lowest tax increase ask of any neighboring district. We're coming to the community with a lower tax increase than the Nassau County average and the Long Island average. There are districts that were listed on slide 36. If you want to put that back up, you see us, we're all the way at the top as amongst one of the lowest. There are districts on here that are coming to their communities asking for 3.21%, 2.69%, 2.61. They're not piercing the tax cap, but us coming in at 1.97, we are. And again, that's because of the crazy formula that New York State set out. It's not because Lynbrook is raising more than neighboring districts. These are really important facts. When I look at this budget and I see all the numbers that Mr. Press put on the screen, the one thing that jumps out to me is, and I know because we've been working on it as a group, there is zero fat left in this budget. It really is trimmed. Every single dollar that's not necessary is trimmed. The programmatic priorities are keeping class sizes where they are, having sufficient offerings for the kids in terms of clubs and after school. The things that we can't control are the things that are driving this budget increase. And again, it's a really low ask. It's under 2%, and I feel like I'm defending what should sound like a high increase. It's actually a really low increase. But the things that are driving that are things that we can't control. Transportation is running rampant, the cost, but we can't do anything about that. There are kids who are in the district who we are legally obligated to provide transportation for. We can't do anything about that. The transportation costs have gone up locally, statewide, and nationally. We can't do anything about that. The number of kids who were required to transport to other activities or to other schools, that's gone up. We can't do anything about that. The other things that have gone up, look at the insurance costs, right? Not just for property insurance, health insurance. Insurance costs are through the roof. We have absolutely no control over that. And I do know that our administrative team is doing everything they can to negotiate. We're getting the lowest rates possible. BOCE's costs have gone up. Costs of benefits have gone up. Special ed costs, both in terms of the costs and the number of kids, have gone up through the roof. These are things that we can't control. Many of these are double-digit increases that are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, these are things that we can't control. We've cut every inch of fat from this budget. So, I really hope the community ignores the headline of Lynbrook Pierce's tax cap and looks at the facts that I just rattled off, because those are really the facts that should be reported. This budget should pass at 90%, not 60%.
I don't feel the need to reiterate what my colleagues have said. We've talked about this for months now, and it's a tax cap formula problem. It's not a tax levy problem. But I do want to just repeat something else that Mr. Press shared, and he talked about the Facilities Committee, and that the Facilities Committee worked to kind of put together those priorities for Proposal 3, and we brought them to the board, and the board agreed with those proposals. Every single one of those is a health and safety issue. When the Facilities Committee works on figuring out where to invest our capital, we have told Dr. Lynch, we have told Mr. Press, we are prioritizing health and safety of our students. So the PA system, that is about safety in an emergency. The heating system, that's about the health of the building. The AC systems, that is about a healthy learning environment here in the high school. And the athletic complex, that's about students' health and safety also. It's about creating and allowing this district to perpetuate a physical education program that is built on lifetime fitness habits, which we all know improve social and emotional learning. They improve students' abilities to feel connected and vibrant and alive, and we want to be able to provide as good a program for that for our students as we can. So the Facilities Committee brought that to the board and are now bringing it to the community. as a true health and safety initiative for our students. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that.
Okay, I just want to go back to the tax cap for a few seconds, because as a longstanding board member, I can't explain how aggravating this whole narrative is. The tax cap is just this fictional tool that politicians have made up to beat their chest and say, we're doing something to keep things under control. You can see right here, we're asking for 1.97%. By some mythical math, right, we're only allowed to ask for 0.95%. But all these school districts who are asking for more, none of them are piercing the tax cap. How is that possible? How are we asking for 1.97%? We're piercing the tax cap. They're asking for all this. Baldwin's asking for 3.21, and they're not piercing the tax cap. What kind of made-up math is this? You know, like, where's the story here? So when Newsday and News 12 put us on a loop and talking about we're one of the districts piercing the tax cap, we're 14th lowest out of 56 schools in Nassau County, yet we're getting the bad press. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no story here at all. Where is the story? And like, you know, Mr. Luna said, costs are not fixed, they are variable. Are any of your costs in your homes at this time going down? Nobody's is. All costs are going up. So we're not asking for an egregious amount. We're just asking for the basics to cover our costs. We're asking for an extra $800,000 on a $115 million budget. That's the news story. It's not much of a story. Six of our last eight levies were lower than this. It's lower than our averages. We're being the same fiscally responsible school board that we've always been. And here's the issue, in all honesty. I was on this school board in 2023, 2024, when we had a 4.5% allowable tax cap. We could have asked for 4.5%, but we said as a school board, we don't need that. We don't need that much. Why would we bang the taxpayers over the head like that? It's not fiscally responsible. So what did we do? We asked for 2.6%, and we left $1.6 million on the table because we said in 2023, 24, we don't need that. We don't need that much. Well, now, this year, we're saying, hey, we need half of that back. We didn't take it when we didn't need it, but now we need it. Not because we're doing anything wrong, but because, you know, the state's telling us that we're over some mythical limit. That's it. We're doing what we've always done, which is be fiscally responsible, right? What's the expression? No good deed goes unpunished? Well, if this doesn't pass because of the 60%, we're damn well being punished for no good reason whatsoever. And you know, I'm sorry if I'm coming off aggressive right now, but it is frustrating because we do everything right. Every dollar in this budget is accounted for. Look at our financials. I've sat on that audit committee. You know, they do a phenomenal job of accounting for everything to making sure that the students get a quality education and the community members are well represented. All community members, whether they have or don't have students in the school, right? We're just trying to do what's right. If the local news wants to run a story that we're piercing this mythical cap, go ahead. But if you do a deep dive, you're going to see what we're doing is what we've always done, put forth fiscally responsible budgets. And, you know, it's slightly annoying that we have to get a 60% passing rate at this point now, so we hope people come out and vote because it is a little more challenging, but we tend to, you know, pass budgets at high rates, higher than that, so hopefully it's not a big deal. But, you know, truth be told, just come out and vote and do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comments? At this time, I would like to open the microphone if anybody has anything to say only regarding the budget. So that concludes our budget hearing, and we will now reopen the please come to the microphone. Just state your name.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wesley Nicholas. I came in a little bit after 7:30. I'm not sure if it was covered in regards to the after-school program as far as the budget.
Not yet. We're going to get there in a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, we will now reopen the regular monthly meeting. We'll start with report from trustees. Jackson?
Thank you. So I know at last week's meeting I shared a lot about what was happening at the high school, but I reached out to the elementary school principals, and in first grade at West End, students are thrilled to welcome 3 new hermit crabs into their classroom. I've been told that this is becoming a favorite part of their day, sparking curiosity, responsibility, and lots of excitement around observing and caring for living things. First graders also have an upcoming field trip to the Firefighters Museum on June 10th. West End is also hosting their multicultural night on May 20th. The evening features West End Owl Proud fashion show, where students and families walk the carpet dressed in traditional cultural attire, celebrating their heritage. Families also volunteer to share food samples and artifacts that represent their cultures. On April 17th, Waverly Park hosted its Abilities Fair, where students rotated through interactive stations guided by Waverly Wonders and parent volunteers. Students explored and experienced a variety of challenges. This event allowed students to grow their understanding, empathy, and appreciation for diverse abilities within the school community. Throughout April, the Waverly Park Student Council hosted their Super Mario Penny Wars, which raised money for autism awareness. Additionally, the Waverly Park Student Council Blood Drive is on May 12th.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything to report? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Lynch, for old business.
So old business, now we're up to the child care part of the program. So we had issued a request for proposal, an RFP, as part of a process. Really, the process started a year ago, where we were looking at our child care provider, and the board is going to entertain a motion tonight, and I'd like to turn it back over to the president.
Thank you. So last year, we held a meeting with parents regarding concerns with the before and after school program. And based on these concerns, as Dr. Lynch just said, we requested proposals to evaluate other options that were available. So we, as the board, followed through with this, and we used parent feedback, reference checks as part of our review process here. In December, we had sent out a family survey, and this survey showed significant concerns regarding consistency among the locations with communication, homework support, safety, enrichment, and the overall structure. The data that we gathered showed that there was not the same experience at all of our locations. And as a board, we said we need to ensure that all families in every one of our buildings are having access to a consistent, well-supervised, high-quality program. And we carefully considered the cost, but that wasn't the only factor that's important in this decision. So scope, which you'll hear about in a little bit, was not the lowest cost, but as a board, we determined that scope provided the best overall value, looking at its staffing model, their on-site leadership, their communication plan, their structured programming, homework support, their inclusive approach, and the reputation that they have. So we understand that costs for childcare matter to families. They matter to us as well. It was crucial for us when making a decision to select a provider that offers a safe, consistent, and high-quality experience for all of our schools, not just some of our schools. So that's why we as a board support moving forward with SCOPE for the 26-27 school year. SCOPE's going to have a parent meeting. It'll be an informational meeting on May 11th at 7 p.m. right here in the cafeteria. Families can come at that point to learn more, ask questions, and speak to the actual SCOPE leadership. If you can't make it that day, that will be pre-recorded for you, so you can watch it at a later time. So at this time, I want to waive the reading of the resolution 2605G11. It's been posted and it's here, where we're adopting SCOPE Education Services as our new child care program. Can I have a motion to waive? Ms. Aragona, second, Mr. Murray, all in favor? Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt resolution 2605G11 as our new child care program beginning in September? Mr. Cullen, second, Ms. Kelly, all in favor? Thank you. And at this time, I want to open the microphone if anybody wants to speak regarding the program. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to, we have no new business, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Lynch, for your superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. Monthly, I give a board goals update. We just had our April meeting a week ago. And I think everyone on this board can tell you we saw the profile of the owl, which is our main goal in living color. We saw our students creative and critically thinking. We saw them involved in social emotional learning. We saw them involved in real life skills, and we saw them involved in global citizenship. And I think it's time for me to shut up and the kids to do the speaking. That's, I think, what Dr. Baleka said about me. I don't want to think it was something like that, but I really, nothing better. There could be nothing better than seeing our kids, one who was Mr. Bowler, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Mr. Bowler's presentation. So can you do a little off the cup about your 250? You know what? I'm going to shut up and let him talk because he's much better than I.
Just like an overview?
Sure.
Okay. So this is a project that's being done by the high school. It's a walk that will start at North Middle School and will end at South. And it's in honor of America's 250th birthday. And it goes through historical events. There will be different stops on the walk. And it goes through different historical events that have happened through U.S. history that have led us to the 250th anniversary. And but I believe it opens May 23rd.
And we'll have a little kickoff of the day, Memorial Day weekend, Mr. Sorosi. So that's, as you know, we that's Saturday, yeah. So we have a big Memorial Day parade right down Merrick Road on the Monday. So there'll be a kickoff at North with a band, and really just the way the community has and Jackson and his friends presented at the Village Board, and they were wonderful. The mayor and the Village Board were beaming with pride that this level of patriotism in our town. And then another great side thing that I forgot to mention, Mr. Sorosi and I met with Art Matson, who wrote the definitive guide to the history of Lynbrook. He's our village historian, and there are going to be some special Lynbrook history of all. So, there's a Revolutionary War battle at the Rockville Cemetery. Like, I just hadn't known that before. So there's just all sorts of cool stuff happening. Again, the community embrace of this project is just wonderful. So that's just wonderful. Did you have it? And then if Dr. Balekis, you have some curriculum updates for us?
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. So since our January presentation, there have been several changes to our dual enrollment proposals. First, we actually decided to pivot from aligning our senior year English options from Nassau Community College over to LIU. Our seniors will now have a choice between potentially earning 6 credits from LIU for college intro to literature and college ideas and themes in literature, or taking AP English literature and composition. In addition, while we were speaking at LIU, it came up about our social studies classes. So we decided to also align our government and economics classes as well. So that is a new change we had not discussed previously. So similar to the English, our seniors will now have a choice between potentially earning 6 credits from LIU for Introduction to American Politics and Introduction to Microeconomics, or taking both the AP U.S. Government and Politics and AP Microeconomics. If you have a student who is a member of the class of 2027, when you'd like to hear more details about these changes, the high school sent you a link to a virtual meeting on May 12th at 7 p.m. I'd like to thank Mr. Sorosi and his team for offering these new exciting opportunities to our students. Pivoting here, the second part of my report, we administered the 3 to 8 assessments. We attempted to begin the computerized ELA assessments about 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, day 1 did not go as planned. The state issued a day off basically for everyone, as the vendor did struggle to allow everybody to sign on. Thankfully, by the next day, the issues were rectified. I'm happy to say that with the support of both our technology and instructional technology teams, we were able to successfully administer the remaining assessments. And this year, approximately about 70% of our eligible students sat for both the ELA and the math state assessments. Thank you.
And capital projects, Mr. Press, you just reported. I don't know if you have anything new.
Nothing new since last week. We did have our kickoff meeting. There's a bunch of submittals going back and forth, so things are moving forward. But we are looking forward to things getting started. Probably some of the work will start in June, early June.
Back to you, Mrs. President.
Thank you. At this time, the floor is open for public comment. Okay. Seeing no one at the microphone, I'd like to ask for a consent agenda on resolutions 2605C1 through C3, 2605NC1, and 2605G1 through G10. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Lunar. Second, Mr. Platsky. All in favor? Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Ms. Kelly. Second, Mr. Cullen. All in favor? Thank you. Just some reminders. The budget vote and election is Tuesday, May 19th. If you are registered with the Nassau County Board of Elections, you are registered to vote in the district election. Individuals may register to vote only for the Lynbrook election if you are not registered with Nassau County, and you can do so in the district clerk's office Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the last day to register to vote is May 13th. We will also have registration on that date from 4 to 8 p.m. in the high school conference room. So please contact the district clerk if you would like an absentee ballot or an early mail ballot application, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on May 19th. Voting is at the high school in the small gym located on Carpenter Avenue. Our next meeting is June 10th. I would like to have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Murray, second, Mr. Platsky. All in favor? Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.